check out how vision works. Your eyes are not open seeing Kathleen Hudson. You're seeing light and energy, and you're creating the story of who I am. And it's really fun for me to keep digging deeper into the science. So I know when you invite a college professor to speak to you, some of you have uh, an idea that maybe there'll be a lecture and a lot of information. And I can do that, and if you request that, I'll come back and do it. But that is not what I automatically do. I'm going to give you a chance to hear some information. I'll tell you some books I have. But more than that, I want to give you a chance to have an experience. And so I want to ask you to consider right now what goddess is living in you. Now, there's never just one. There's never just one. I'm going to lean a little bit on the Greeks, but you've got a handout that is global. And it is by the goddess of small print. And I'm not going to be teaching or speaking from that handout. That's just for those of you who are interested, and you may snag a new goddess on there, and you may want to say, sometimes I'm going to be dirty. And other times I may be Kali. We're standing on the shoulders of the Greeks, so that's a little bit more of our cultural story. So whether you can look at 12 goddesses or 7, and you can read Carl Jung and what he did with the goddess into it. So I'm just going to pick one for today, 7. And I know we all know about the number 7. My tangents are off on the symbolism of all the words we use. So think about these goddesses. Now, when I teach mythology and when I've studied it, I ran across this idea that the Hindus don't have a lot of gods and goddesses. What they have are stories that represent energies in us. So that was an interesting interpretation. So let's consider that these 7 Greek goddesses I'm going to throw out have an energy. And you're carrying much more than one of them. You've already performed several different ones. And this is definitely a talk for all of you. That's why I didn't choose one of my favorite psychological books, The Goddess in Every Woman. It's fantastic the way she interprets it, because I want it broader. Goddess in you. So let's just open up, and some of you have studied psychology far more than I have, and you know that we all carry anima and animus, and that we have female and male energy operating at the same time. In fact, when I give this talk to my students, I sometimes point to the kind of male energy I carry, because male energy has a certain description, and actually if you hold up a plug and you say, what does an electrician call this? And then you go over to the wall and there's a socket. You can be visual about male and female energy. And male energy is penetrating. It creates. And female energy is receptive. But that doesn't have anything to do with being girls and boys. We're not in a biological discussion. So for today, let's just think about the energy. The energy of Athena, the goddess of wisdom. The energy of Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. The energy of Hestia, the goddess of the heart. Of Persephone, you've gone down into the underworld. And you've been there, in the dark. Maybe you were abducted. Maybe you went ahead and ate those seeds because you wanted to stay in the underworld half your life. Maybe you wanted to say, too bad for you, Mom. Go ahead and suffer. By the way, her mother was Demeter, goddess of grain and agriculture. And guess what she did when her daughter was hanging out in the underworld? No grain. Earth, something. Not when Persephone was reunited with her mother, she had eaten those seeds down in the underworld, so she had to go back. And did Hades abduct her? Was it against her will? I mean, we can have a good time with these stories, but I'm going to try to keep it on the surface because
I'll tell you. I'll tell you when you have time.
you'll tell me when I have
5 minutes. Okay?
just way back. Because I like to have an ending. I just don't like to go, oh, that's it. Dear sweet Persephone, she's also the queen of the underworld. And I have tarot cards with pictures of her in her white dress and uniting with Hades down there. But she's the queen of the underworld. She lives in the dark places. And then she comes up and her mother's happy and we have spring and summer. These are energies. Hera, the goddess of marriage. Not a great story of her marriage to Zeus. And all the other things that happen. But if you dig around with Hera, we all have that. And Aphrodite, in her night, the goddess of love.